Are you all right? Yeah, you got your tea? What do you want to have a
Got my
sip?
tea. Yeah, I got my tea sorted. Got everything
Okay,
sorted. Yeah.
good stuff. You look good. You're in frame.
Okay.
That's it. And
I've
I
got my
and I,
plans and my picture behind me as
yeah,
well.
I like your flowery dress.
Thank you. I thought I'd make a bit of an effort. It's the first time I've dressed up and put makeup on since lockdown.
Really?
Yeah, because I've not needed to go out. I've not needed to do anything. So I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, no, it's a lovely dress. It matches your picture behind you.
thank you. Am I
Yeah,
blending in?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I like the plant. It's better than my background anyway.
I
But
like your background. It's got Rick Astley.
thank you.
You're
Yeah,
missing, what's that guy called? Glenn
Glenn
Medeiros.
Medeiros.
Oh, you've got the Kylie album.
Of course I have. Who hasn't?
Oh, you got to let down there though. Cliff Richard.
Yeah, I think my sister brought that one.
That's a bad one.
That's my excuse anyway. I've got some classics. I've got the Wham album as well. Smash Hits. There were Smash Hits.
Smash It, yeah. I've
Yeah.
got Smash It.
Well, now that's what I call music. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got all of those.
Yeah.
Well, I've got quite a few of those, not all of them.
Yeah, you had a fantastic collection though, because I remember at your installation that when I came down, you had some fantastic records. And are you a big music fan, Dawinder? Oh, but let's just start. Let's just start.
Can we start? Should we start now?
This is how we're starting. Yeah, this is it.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Hello. Good to see you, Sat.
It's good
It's been
to
a
see
long
you. Now,
time.
yeah, let's start properly. I will do it 100%. I'm going to do it properly now.
Okay.
It has been a very long time since we last met. Too long. And I just want to start off by saying I have had a shower today. And for anyone
Not you
listening,
once a week.
yeah,
Not
well,
you once a week.
once a week on lockdown. This is just a little inside joke that me and Dawinder have. But I have, and I'm ready for this interview today. But really good to have you on. I know I wanted to get you on the previous show, the British Asian
Okay.
podcast. It never happened. I remember I was coming down to see you at one of your exhibitions.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic, by the way. We'll definitely speak about that. But just timings, and you was busy that day, obviously, and I had to get somewhere else. So it never really happened. And then the show stopped. But I knew once I got this show started up and running, I definitely wanted to get you back on, because I know since then you've done so much.
Yeah, well, I think so you came to see Jumbo Cinema in Wolverhampton in 2017.
That's it. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and since then, there's been working on lots of different projects and things across the country. So I've been sort of venturing out of Wolverhampton. Actually, I never really get work here. It's always out of the area.
Yeah. It's interesting. While I was waiting for you, getting your cup of tea, I was reading about you, and there was a post you put on Facebook about the Birmingham. Was it the museum?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Birmingham Museum, and it's one of the comments that they said to you, because you wanted Jambo Cinema there, right? Is that correct?
Well, I pitched Jumbo Cinema to lots of different places, and it was a case of, well, because it's a Wolverhampton story. Well, I'm from Wolverhampton. It's an autobiographical piece, but it is very relatable, as you know.
Mm.
From someone from London, you were saying actually this could have been my life, really. So
oh, definitely,
it's relatable to so many different communities, not just the Asian community. And for those people who don't know what it is, it's about my life growing up in Wolverhampton during the 1980s, and about me growing up inside my parents' VHS Bollywood rental shop, which was also an electrical shop. And I did this big installation, and also there's a film that I created, so people come along and they have a bit of an experience. So it's experiential installation.
Yeah. It's really difficult to give it justice, because it was one of the most amazing things. I'm not just saying that, I've ever seen, because I didn't know what to expect. And we sort of spoke online a little bit, and I think we met at the media awards once, but that was kind of it. So I didn't really know what I was going to walk into. And I came in, and I've got to say to anyone, it was amazing, because the first thing that hits you, because did you have dwarf on as well, incense, and
yeah,
the smell, and it was just the images and the music playing in the background, and like the remote control sitting on the side of the settee, and the little plates with the cup of tea, and it was the cups that everyone had, you know, at home. And it was just the sewing machine in the corner of the room. And and it was like, and it's a video, and it was had Bollywood films playing on the TV, and it was amazing. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I could tell how much hard work you put into that, because you had to make it look like a lived-in home, obviously, but it's an art installation. But I mean, bravo to you. Honestly, it was superb. And to anyone listening, if you do ever get a chance to see it, 100% I would recommend going seeing it. And you don't have to be Asian, I don't think, to see that, because it reminds you of that moment in time when we lived slightly differently. You not agree? Yeah. And
it's a step back in time into it was basically a recreation, because my father passed away in the late 80s, and we had this shop for about 10 years. But then when he passed away, we retained all the stock, and I just started looking through it again. And with my experience of being a site-specific theatre producer, which is where you take over maybe a disused space or something that's not like a theatre space, and then make it into something new. I was like, I quite fancy doing something with my own story, and I think the only person who could have told it in the way that it was done was me. So, because I lived through it, so it was about, okay, well, this is relatable to me, but how do we make it relatable to other people?
Yeah.
And when people go in, lots of different communities would go in and say, I didn't know this about the Asian community, or there'd be, Asian people who come in specifically from the Sikh Punjabi background and say, this is what my house used to look like. Oh, wow, this is just like going back in time for me. And there were people who would come back again and again to see it, because they just felt like they just wanted to be transported back into that time.
Yeah, it was just the small touches as well, because the sofa that you had as well. Now, it's just things like that, and just sitting in that sofa reminded me. I'm not even sure we had a sofa like that, but I've got a feeling one of my uncles did, or some relatives that we used to go around to see, they had a sofa like that. And it was something amazing, honestly. It was like going back in time. And I think you should take it up a notch and make a house. The whole
Someone
bloody
suggested that to me. They were like, actually, you could do a bedroom, you could do this, you could. I was like, okay, yeah, I could do that. I could take over a house and make it happen.
Can you imagine? Yeah, you could have a house, and I mean, obviously that's a lot of hard work. I don't know how much time you've got, but
maybe I could find a house that still looks like that. There could be. I think someone came in and said, you know what, my house is still sort of like this. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, so you just need to sort of add a bit to it. You could have the plastic on the carpet in the hallway. You remember that?
Yeah.
And on the stairs. Yeah. And the rest of the carpet was shit, right? But the stairs were immaculate underneath that plastic.
Exactly. That plastic was the amount of times I tripped over on plastic on the stairs in relatives' houses. But it was kind of trying to get that authenticity.
Oh, you got it. Definitely, without a doubt.
You can only get when you've lived through it, really. You know, other people can try and recreate stuff. And then that got commissioned by the Barbican, which was lovely, which was amazing. And that was a part of one of their film festivals last year. And then recently we had like an extended version of it, which was the living room and the actual shop as well in Nottingham. So we created the shop with the original fixtures and fittings and all the original Bollywood artwork and everything. And they've said to me it was one of their best exhibitions. So that's all you can really hope for, really. You do a piece of work that, it means something to you, but as someone who's always thinking about how people are going to interact with it, it was really important to hear that there were so many people who said, well, I've learned this about the Asian community, and actually I'm not from, there was like a Romanian couple that came in and said, this isn't my story, but I feel like this is my home. So
that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, you must be very happy, because I remember some of the work you was putting into getting that set up, and you was putting some random posts on Facebook saying, does anyone know where I can get one of these from? You remember that? Obviously, you must remember.
Because the thing is, because my memory is very sharp. It's very strong about things, objects. And I can remember stuff really, with a real richness.
Yeah.
Me and my sister were talking about it the other day, actually, and she was like, "I never knew this about you. You've got this memory that you can just remember stuff." And I'd be constantly looking for very random objects in people's houses that I could get, and I found them all. I either found them in the loft when I cleared the loft out, or went to different charity shops and stuff and found the items I was looking for.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, so you got it into the Barbican. I mean, that's amazing. That's so cool. You know, you must have been over the moon. But it's a fact. I know you pitched it to Birmingham, and they said one of the things that annoyed me this morning reading it said, "Well, we did an Asian thing last year."
Yeah,
and like you can only do one a year, right? So they did their one.
And I think it's about not understanding that there are so many different stories within our culture and community, just like there are in every single culture and community.
Yeah.
But when you've done something that's very visible about a community, that I know we can only do one of those, we can't do any more, despite the fact that Birmingham has an enormous South Asian population.
Yeah. So, Dawinder,
but it's not just. But the important thing I want to say is that these projects now, they're really important because they actually highlight the stories and the struggle of the community. Because I talk about, you know, coming from Kenya, not having much money, about my father's entrepreneurship, you know, putting money back into the economy, about the contribution that he made through the business. And these are stories that people need to know. That there was a contribution, there was a financial contribution, there's a family, there are, you know, what the human aspect of those stories are. And now where we are, where it's like people are so divided and there's so much open racism, there's so much, and I think the art of really respectful discourse is just going out the window.
Absolutely. I mean, it is all about stories, and it's shocking. Are you trying to say to me that Asians are not all the same? You know, that's kind of what people think. You know, they're putting you in, they're putting us all in a box and saying, yeah, that's their kind of Bollywood thing. And discourse is definitely gone. We'll definitely talk about that, because it's one of the reasons I sort of brought the show back, because I know you've been on radio a few times, and I don't know how long these interviews are for. Sometimes it's half an hour, and sometimes the subjects you're talking about need more than 1 hour to talk about. You know, we need to have deep conversations about these things, and you can't have these 5-minute snippets on a phone-in radio station, because you're not actually solving anything. It's a bit like a bit like on Facebook. You're just putting a post out. Nothing's actually getting solved. You can't really have a proper discussion. You get trolls involved online, and it just goes round and round in circles. I mean, did you ever think? I mean, 2020, we're still talking about race relations in 2020, and I looking at Black Lives Matter and the statue in Bristol that was thrown into the river. I still can't get over how the hell there was a statue still up of this guy. I didn't know there's a statue of a slave trader in the middle of Bristol. You know, me personally, I think they should, I mean, talking of museums, they should probably create a museum about the empire, about the slave trade, about our history, where we learn properly what these folks are all about, you know.
Well, I think that's a brilliant idea, but I don't know whether anyone would do it, because it really highlights all the injustices, and it really highlights a history, which is something that not a lot of people will be proud of, especially, you know, those that have links and to such atrocities. Because I only learnt recently that so when this Slavery Act was abolished, that the government had to pay off the slave owners, and that tax bill didn't end. So we, as taxpayers, we were paying off those people that owned the slaves up until 2015. So that then tells you, like, that, and that was hidden away. That's now been revealed, or it may have been revealed a while ago, but I've only just heard about it. But when things like that, you hear and you think, wow, I mean, what did those people get that were slaves?
Yeah. I mean, it's
that were completely removed from where they were, taken away from their families. Can you imagine how atrocious like that they were treated? It was disgusting.
I mean, that person in Bristol, he actually branded people, didn't he, with his company logo, like cattle.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were actually branded, you know, with a hot metal poker, I suppose, or whatever it was, and branded on their bodies to say this is the property of this guy. I don't even want to say his name, right? So, I mean, I understand what people are saying. You know, it's history, but I never knew about this history when I was at school. I learned about the Versailles Treaty and when World War II started and ended, and I didn't know none of this. I
didn't know a lot about South Asian history until I left, way after I left school and started doing my own studies, and I was like, oh, and you start talking to people about your history and things, and then you realise there's this whole other world that you didn't know about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when we learnt about the empire, it was about, they built the railways in India, and it was always the railways, right? And I thought
it was sort of a positive story, really, about look at what we did.
Yeah, of course. And this little island took over the world, and look how great it was, and you know, but not the actual human impact. I'm not just talking about India, obviously. Africa, Jamaica, around the world. Totally ripped with all its riches, really, and that's, I think, really the start of racism and prejudice, because I remember when the empire was in full force, they used to have these videos saying, look, here are the savages in Africa, and this is the British are going there to educate them, to give them God, to build churches, and you know. But actually, I think they were doing pretty well on their own before the British turned up.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's about racism. It's like it never goes away. It never goes away, and it will never go away. It just kind of transfers to a different community. So I'll give you an example. When I about 2 years ago, so Wolverhampton's got quite a high population of Polish people now. And about 2 years ago, I was coming home in taxi, and the taxi driver, there was this old pub that had been converted into a Polish supermarket. And the taxi driver said, oh my God, not another fucking Polish supermarket. I was so shocked. I went, say it again. And he said, look, they're taking over. This is an Asian guy, second generation like me.
Yeah.
And I questioned him about it, and he went, no, but you don't know. And I went, what you're saying is wrong. And because that's what people were saying about our parents when they came here. Look, they're taking over. And I said, they're not robbing anybody. They've set up a business. It's legit. They're earning their own money. They're establishing as a community. What is your problem? But that's what I mean by transfer. So he's settled in, and he now sees himself as being different to anyone else and any other ethnic minority. And he's coming out with these racist comments. So, you know, and there's an artist I was speaking to also from Wolverhampton. He said the same thing, really almost word for word. And that's always kind of jarring for me, because I think the artist's world is always one about curiosity and collaboration and difference and bringing those things together. It's not about kind of trying to make yourself so different from anybody else that you don't engage with different people.
I mean, the irony of that statement by that taxi driver, it's unbelievable, really, isn't it? Because I could sense a bit of that anyway. You know, when we used to talk about people from India, we used to start calling them fresh or freshies.
Yeah.
You know, so we started putting terms on them. And we're thinking, you know, I used to think, you know, that could have been our parents. Well, it was our parents not that long ago, right? And, you know, these guys are coming over working, and, you know, they've left their families behind. And I know a lot of them sort of took it as a laugh, the people I knew anyway, but it's that kind of mentality sort of seeping into us. We've become comfortable. You know, we're second, third, and some are first generation, and we've kind of got a bit more money, stability, which our parents didn't have. We haven't got that much worry. And so when we sort of come out with these terms, it can be sort of a throwaway comment, you know, oh, look, another bloody Polish shop, you know.
Yeah.
But actually, if you just peel back the layer like you did, I'm glad you said to him, you know, what you're saying, you know, and put him in his, it's probably, I would like to say I would, but I don't know, you know, and I think that's why we need to sort of speak up sometimes and say, hey, come on, you know, we're all happy to post a black square on Instagram, but when it actually comes to real genuine action, by holding people to account,
when it matters. That's when it matters. When you're in the moment and someone's saying something, pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what's being said and why they're saying it. And I think, you know, I mean, I did have a bit of a go at him about what he was saying, and then the curiosity in me was like, well, why are you saying that? Let's unpick that a little bit. Why do you have this kind of a position now to say that actually I don't want them here, so what's going on? And it's usually down to economics.
Yeah, it's always about money.
You know, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, anyone that's working hard is an honest person who's working hard. I've got respect for them, because it's not easy, as you know, like if you've ever spoken to your parents about it, it's not easy what they did. It's not easy uprooting, going to a different country, not really being able to understand the language properly. It's a completely different system. And then when you get there, you're faced with loads of racism.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if me and you were plonked in another country, we didn't know the language, and we didn't look like them, and we literally had no contacts. You know, and we had to go find a job, food, shelter. We had to maybe, I don't know, sign some forms for the government, but we can't read the paperwork.
Yeah,
it's just,
exactly. The first time that I got an appreciation for what my parents did was when I lived in Brazil. I lived in Brazil 10 years ago. I had to go there for got work opportunity. So I was living in Sao Paulo and Rio. And, you know, not many people could speak English. They probably can speak a bit more now, but majority of the people speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
I couldn't speak a word of Portuguese. I learnt some basic stuff before I left. And then I was just thrown into it. And, you know, little basic things like ordering a cup of tea.
Yeah.
You know, there's like little basic things that I couldn't do. And I thought, wow, okay. And then I remember that, you know, that first week, like sitting in my hotel room, and I just thought, this was what it was like for mom and dad. It must have been horrendously hard. And I didn't get any racism or anything over there, because I just kind of fitted in because of my skin colour. But I did have a different appreciation at that point. I thought, well, this is how difficult it must have been.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, people used to come around my house, and they used to bring letters with them. And my dad used to read them, because some of his friends couldn't read, right, in English, and but he could. So we'd sit there reading, and it used to be like, you know, bills and tax stuff, whatever it was, right? But I remember them days quite clearly. And so he's kind of the man, you know.
Anyone that could read and write English at that point, they were like the go-to person.
Yeah, the go-to person. But we did it, right? People used to come around. It was a community thing, and we worked together. But I think once we got some money, economics again, we drifted apart. So so you got some people that got a bit richer, maybe started a business, got a bigger house, moved out of them areas that we all sort of congregated around them certain streets in the Gravesend that we lived in.
Yeah, there was one area that everyone started off in, and then like you're saying, as you progress, you move out.
Yeah, I mean, look how far I've got. I've gone to Yorkshire. I'm too good for them now. I literally looked down on them.
I was surprised you said you lived in Leeds. Leeds is great, by the way. It's lovely.
It is very nice. It is very nice. But this is what we do, and we sort of move away, and we sort of distance ourselves slightly, I think, from where we come from in a way. And if anyone reads even the bare minimum of history, will know that immigrants are always the first to get blamed. So recessions are started by usually big corporations and banks. It's not the little Joe Bloggs with his shop selling food and milk. And then the immigrants pay the price. It's easy to blame them. Oh yeah, we would have had all these jobs that you've now lost because of the recession, because if we didn't have all these immigrants that are coming in. And this was the same back when the Jews came to East London. They blamed the Jews first, and then it was the Jamaicans, and then it was the Asians. And I know, that rag trade in East London, it was the Jewish first. Then the Bangladeshi community came to East London. And it's such a melting pot there, and everyone, the next wave of immigrants were blamed. And, and like that taxi driver's now blaming the Polish, and it'd be a new wave of people that'll come in. And it never ends because it's an easy thing to do. And this is how governments do. They blame the immigrants that come in because it takes away any responsibility on them.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's all sorts of things going on at the moment. People are like, is this corona? Like, where's this coronavirus come from? Did it come from a lab?
Yeah.
And did it get accidentally released? There's all sorts of information all over the internet.
Yeah. Do you believe in that 5G? Is it 5G corona? Please tell me you don't.
No, I do think though that radio waves they must do something to people.
Yeah, especially the shit stations.
They must do something to some people because, and the reason why I say that is because we're not designed to be around technology.
No, I agree with that.
We're
definitely.
Not designed to be. So I think it does something. I don't know what it does, but all I know is that I went on a silent meditation retreat about 8 or 9 years ago. So you don't talk for 10 days.
That must have been absolutely amazingly hard work for you.
It was easy. It was easy, actually. No, it was. It's really interesting what happens when people don't speak, and because there's a number of different rules that you had to follow. So you had to go in there and you couldn't show any, your clothes couldn't show any contours of your body. You weren't allowed to look at people in the eye. You weren't allowed to take anything scented in. So nothing, no sort of body wash or anything with any kind of scent. Anything had to be, anything that you used products-wise had to have no scent. And you weren't allowed to read anything, and you weren't allowed to, you had to put your phone into the locker. So you literally only had, excuse me, your environment, which was in the middle of the countryside, and your room and the meditation centre and nothing else. It was, I think the first couple of days I was just like rocking like this because I found it so difficult. Because you literally are just stuck with your own thoughts and yourself.
You paid for this, did you?
You paid by donation. So you get to the end of the thing, and then you decide how much you want to give. And there are people who are extremely wealthy who go there. There are people who literally have nothing and they just need to clear their mind. And I think there was this woman there, and she was talking to me. She'd been there for 6 months, and she was like saying she was seriously depressed and she was unwell, and it really sorted her out. She looked amazing, by the way. But I can't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, so I went to this silent meditation retreat. I was there for 10 days, and I know a lot of other artists who have done this as well. And after the 10 days, when you can talk again, it's really strange. But then when you come out into the real world, the colours around you, they're so vibrant and bright. Like I was like, oh my God, I can really see colour. It was so strange. And you just heightened to everything. And I wasn't around any technology. And I remember feeling how amazing I felt. Remember that distinctly, about not having to sort of have my mind completely full of stuff all the time. Full of the news, full of the negative news, full of, you know, conversations that are pointless, full of lots of drama that, you know, you end up getting caught up in different people's lives and things like that. And it was just amazing.
But did you, when you came out of there after 10 days, did you then get your phone out straight away? Or was it a gradual thing, you know? I got
my phone out because I needed to get home, and I can't follow the instructions really well, so I needed my sat nav.
Yeah,
so
you're out in the bloody middle of nowhere, aren't you? You can't ask no one because they're not talking.
Well, they were at that
Who
point.
pays for this stuff?
So I got my phone out eventually, and but I didn't feel the constant need to look at it. I definitely felt something had changed in those 10 days.
Yeah. No, I to be honest, I know where you're coming from. I listen to some podcasts, and some of the presenters on there have done that. They've gone onto these retreats, and I can imagine it being very difficult for the first couple of days, I'd say. But then I think you get a sense of calmness, because really you're not distracted by external things, nonsense, basically. You know, the fact that they have to wear clothes that are not body shaping or clinging, because then you're not ogling other people. You know, it's a distraction, you know, and scents and smells. And I could see how that will be quite a beautiful experience. But the problem is the world in which we live in, it's constant messages being sent to us, you know, literally on our phones, by people. Everyone's trying to vie for attention. And do you remember when, I don't know if you remember when mobile phones first came out, it was meant to be a productivity tool, that we're going to work less because we're going to be connected via a phone, and it's going to help us rather than be a time drain. I don't think people envision that we're stuck to these phones. They're part of our bodies now, these phones. You know, we literally have them on us all the time, constantly. And I think it's going to get worse. It will just get worse and worse. And these apps that we have on there, they're designed to keep us on there for as long as possible.
Well, I think smartphones, when phones first came out and I first had a mobile phone, university, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can contact people and I can send them little messages and that kind of thing. And it was a nice thing. And then when smartphones came out, I thought, okay, I didn't quite get them. And then it was like, oh, you can take pictures on them. Oh, you can do this and you can do that. And then social media. Do you remember? It used to be called new media. There was this term called new media for ages. And then it was like, okay, it's social media now. But it was a way to keep connected, and it was a great thing. And actually, when I went to Brazil 10 years ago, I've managed to keep those connections as a result of all the social media that allows us to keep in touch in a kind of a rich way. But I do think there's a negative side to it, because you never switch off.
Yeah.
And, you know, this whole thing of, because those apps, some of those apps, and particularly, I think I read that Facebook and, you know, Twitter and all these social media, they're developed by people who they make gambling apps and stuff like that. So it's like, it's meant to be addictive. So it gives you that high, and it does something to your brain.
Yeah. That
makes you feel like you have to keep on looking, and you have to keep on, you know, if you don't get so many likes, people get depressed and all sorts of other stuff, especially younger people. I think they're just, that whole generation, I don't know how they're going to be when they get a bit older, but it's very negative. It's this whole AI thing. I think we're already there.
Yeah, I mean,
we are already there. Everywhere you go, like, your phone is an extension of you already.
Exactly. You know, when they're talking about AI robots, and I think we're going to become like cyborgs almost, you know, because these phones are part of us now. You know, if you look on a phone, your own personal phone, it's got everything about you. You know, your photos, good memories with your friends, numbers of your family. It knows your preferences. You know, you type into Google certain things, it gives you adverts of things you may like, which are sometimes very strikingly accurate. You know, you are looking for certain things and they pop up on you and you think, oh, that's pretty good. So I don't think
to the point where you can just be talking about it. You haven't even said,
That happened
You
to
don't
me.
even say, yeah. And I was just like, my nephew said it to me, and he was like, you know what? Sometimes I'm talking about something, and next thing I know, it's appeared on my phone, and he's like, I think they're listening. And this is before they actually discovered that Apple were listening to conversations to improve their Siri or whatever.
That happens.
And I was like, are you sure about that? And he said, yeah, it does come up. And then I started to notice it. And then I said to my sister, I was like, you should notice this as well. But it's like, it happens all the time where the advertising is just coming to us, and now we're having to pay not to have advertising.
Yeah, I mean, how ridiculous.
Because I pay for the YouTube Premium because I don't get advertising on there, and I prefer that. I was like, I don't want any advertising at all
on there. Yeah, no, because I'm looking for a shed, if you might want to know, and my phone's full of pictures of sheds.
Yeah,
my whole timeline is just shed after shed, and some
Did
of
you
them
find what you were looking for?
Some of them are pretty cool, actually. well done, Facebook. You know, but it's quite scary though, because I mean, it's probably novel in the beginning to have these adverts. I think, oh yeah, I was looking for that, but actually, then you're thinking, where are they keeping all this information about us? You know, and the influence. I think the influence of these social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, I think especially Facebook, it's so powerful, and the way it's now been used as a tool to shape people's beliefs and perceptions about someone else. So when you look at elections and things like Brexit, I mean, millions of pounds were put into adverts on Facebook, and it was targeting people that were they weren't Leave or Remain, because you couldn't really change their minds. It was the people in the middle. That's where these adverts were targeting, and they were specifically targeting people on lower incomes as well. So that's where they were using the fact of, oh look, Turkey's going to join the EU. We're going to have all these millions of people coming in from Turkey, and we can save you 350 million.
Disgusting, isn't it? It's so manipulative.
And if you have lost your job in the factory because this factory's now moved to another country, and you're seeing these adverts and you're thinking, well, actually, I'm going to vote Leave. So I don't blame these people, because, you know, they're human beings and they're worrying about their own families and their own economies at home. And they haven't got time to be looking into the ins and outs of a Brexit deal or what it means, because no one knew. And we live day to day, right? So we haven't got time to be researching these things.
No, he's talking about Brexit now. It's like it's a constant shift of a disaster after another. It's like there was Brexit, and then there was the coronavirus, and now it's like, okay, everyone direct your attention to Black Lives Matter, which is a really important thing. I'm not going to say it's not. All of it's important. You know, coronavirus is a real thing. Lots of people have died. Lots of people that are within my circle have been extremely sick, unusually sick. And, you know, my neighbour passed away, Asian guy, 62, really suddenly. So, like, you know, there's things, you know, that are very real and need attention, but it feels like we're constantly firefighting at the moment.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's really difficult to find those, you know, those gems of positivity. I think, you know, a lot of people need to try and find that within their everyday lives, that, you know, things are, if you're in a position where you've got, you know, you've got money, you've got a roof over your head, you've got, you know, a family that love you and everything else, I think you're in a good position.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
it's really important to remember those, you know, everyday good moments. But I do feel kind of really suspicious about the agenda of whatever's going on in the world of, you know, tracking and tracing people and surveillance on mobile phones, and then going to find all the, you know, going to find all these people that are gathering.
Yeah,
I'm not downloading that.
Yeah, I'm not downloading that app. I'm not downloading
because apparently, I don't know if this is true. I need to check it, but apparently, people that download it. So say if I download it and it's on my phone, your number's in my phone, it can track your number as well. I don't know if that's true. I need to check that. But I feel hugely suspicious about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust anything the government create technology-wise that it's going to be a disaster. I can tell, and they try and sell it as if you have to do it. And if you don't do it, you're not doing your bit, right? So
it's about the greater good, exactly. But really, is it the greater good? Or what is this? I just don't. It's good to question things. It's good not to get too caught up in conspiracies, but it's really important to question them.
Yeah, I mean, because once a government has these kind of powers, they never really take them back. They don't say, all right, we use that power now, but we don't need it anymore, so we're going to shut it off. So if they've got the power to track us with an app and they've got all that data, I'm sure they'll be sitting in some boardroom thinking, oh, yeah, we could use that data for, say, trying to catch criminals. Or we could use that data to check illegals in the country. Or we can use that data for, I don't know, marketing.
It's something. It's going to be used for something.
It's going to be used for something. So I'm not going to download it. I'll download anything else, TikTok or anything, but not that one. TikTok, that's another one. That nonsense TikTok. Are you on TikTok? Get off it.
I have got it, but I don't use it.
It is funny. It's not bad, but it's the way it's built, because it's a constant stream of videos, and you could be on there all day and never see every single video. And because there's no breaks in the videos, is there? You watch one, it goes to the next one. It's a little dopamine hit every time you watch one. It's a drug. You keep watching it and you keep next. You could be there for hours. I downloaded it because I wanted to check it out. People I had on the show were saying, oh, I'm on TikTok, you should go on it, you should put your videos on there. I thought, I'll check it out. And it's the craziest shit I've ever seen on there. I think these uncles like in India dancing to Bollywood songs, and obviously right, obviously it's hot out there, right? So they ain't got no shirt on or anything like that. And they just
nice.
I know, and and I keep watching it. I'm more worried about myself, thinking, why am I watching this shit for? But it's constant, and I'm going to take it off my phone now. But if it was a choice between TikTok or that other app, government one, I'm going with TikTok.
Yeah, well, at least it's going to entertain you as well. But the TikTok, because I opened it up, and it was just full of all this information. And I was like, this is too much, it's overload, and I just shut it straight away. I'm not dealing with this today. I can't do it. It's too much information. It's overload.
It's nuts. There's some crazy stuff on there, and they sort of sell it as become TikTok famous.
I might just have another look at it. I might give it another go.
You have to check them guys out in India, the Bollywood dancers.
Topless ones that you like.
Yeah, topless. So your takeaway from this interview, your homework is to watch some topless dancers in India to Bollywood songs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Topless uncles.
Topless uncles. You only get valuable content in my show. Okay? This is not the BBC, is it?
I'll tell you what I've started doing though recently, which is a good thing. I've been reading a lot more.
Good. Yeah. I think, reading, I mean, it's become this thing where we don't even read, do we? We listen to audiobooks.
Yeah.
Or what are you reading?
At the moment.
Oh, yes. That'd be a great book.
That book. Lovely book,
That'd be a great book for my kids.
Yes, it would. It's a lovely book.
So what is that? A range of
beautiful illustrations. So it's called Stories for South Asian Supergirls, and it's a treasure trove of 50 illustrated biographies of amazing South Asian women. So these are the stories. Now we were talking about history earlier on. These are the stories that are hidden. Some of these are like TV celebrities, and some of them are historical figures. So that's why it's really important to support this book, actually, because it's a really important thing for girls to have.
Yeah. I'm gonna buy it for my kids, and I'm sure there's people in there, women in there that you've never heard of.
There are, definitely, historical figures that I was like, oh, this woman sounds interesting. But it's just the way it's been presented. It's just I'll show you actually. So it's got you've got lovely illustrations as well as the biography of the woman. So because reading, because I just felt like my memory was getting really bad.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, and then I read this article and it said that because we consume so much little bits of information on the internet, now we Google stuff and we're looking at stuff, we forget that information really quickly. And the thing to improve your memory is to read, because you have to follow a narrative and you have to follow a story. So
that makes sense, definitely.
Read. Yeah. It's really important. So I've got loads of books that I was going to read one day, and I thought actually the one day is now. So
yeah, that's the best time to start reading. But no, you're right, because I found my reading has suffered. I used to read quite a lot when I used to commute to work, always on the train. I would read. Then I started getting into podcasts. I started listening, so it's passive, just listening. And so reading went out the window. Then it was just podcast listening, and then it's music. And then I used to read in the evenings, but now it's become on the phone in the bloody evenings. And I tell you what's the biggest thing that suffered is my handwriting. My handwriting is awful. Someone tells you to sign something, you think, oh, I haven't signed something in ages. Where do I tick the box? And it signs it for me. But my handwriting is awful now. And if I write for a while, my hand starts hurting.
Yeah.
And I think
maybe you need to start doing that as well then. Maybe write. I remember like when I was at uni, I had to keep in touch with my friends by writing letters.
Yeah.
And when I've been clearing out the house and like reorganizing stuff since lockdowns happened, and I found loads of letters that I'd forgotten I'd had, and it's really nice reading them. And I thought, it's such a nice thing to write and receive a letter.
Yeah, and it's become like a niche thing now to write a letter. It means you put some thought and effort behind it now, rather than. I mean, things like Facebook, it tells you whose birthday it is, which is very handy because I would forget, to be honest. And then when you put a comment, it writes happy birthday for you, doesn't it, with some balloons? And all you do is press it. And you press it and you've done your bit, and you don't really give a shit, do you, if it's their birthday? You put no effort into that at all. At least before you had to call them up or something.
Friends, I will, send actual birthday cards to. Make an effort.
The ones that annoy me are the ones that put HBD.
Yeah, that's no effort at all, is it?
Yeah, now come on. These bloody type out happy birthday. HBD. I remember those people that put HBD. Anyway, that's just a bugbear of mine. I'm thinking, but that is true. We're so everything's so quick and instant. So I think reading a book, was it difficult for you to start reading again?
I started with short stories.
Yeah,
because I felt like I needed a quick win.
Yeah,
I was like, I need to be able to get past the story and feel like, yes, I've achieved something. So I started with short stories, which were like 2 or 3 pages. And actually, they're really good because they capture the story so quickly and the essence of something, and then you move on to the next one. So started with that, and now I'm on to like proper novels.
And you have physical books, do you? Real books?
Yeah, I don't like Kindles and stuff.
Yeah,
I need to have the actual physical book.
It's nothing like having a real book, though, is it? On your bedside, and then it's there, right? So these kind of things do come back, but they become like little niche things, a bit like records. Everyone's got CDs or a file on their computer, but it's sort of an underground scene of people that collect records and LPs still. And it's kind of become like that with books. Can you believe it or not? Right? And so I don't know how my kids are going to be in the future. They're going to be, hopefully they can read and write.
Well, that would be a good start.
Yeah.
I just think all those things are really good to put into practice at this point, where you thought, I haven't got time to do this. I'll do it one day. And just, I think the first few weeks of lockdown, like I cleaned the garage, did the loft last year, but then didn't really organise it. So I organised the loft. Then I did a deep clean of my bedroom. I got rid of loads of stuff. I found some stuff I didn't even know I had, like clothes and stuff I didn't realise I'd bought and had never worn. And then I cleaned my mum's room, and then I just did a deep clean of the entire house.
Yeah.
And then reorganised stuff. And at the moment, what we're doing, went through like loads of mum's old cassettes and came out and found all these types of cassettes and things. So we went through them all, and that was really nice. To go through
what was that? Happy tape?
Happy tape.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah. I don't know what's on here actually. I need to play. So there's
I want to know what happy tape is.
It looks so much fun.
Yeah. It's a bit of an effort to it though as well. It does look fantastic. It's got to be from India, that one, right? India.
I think it is from India. Yeah. And then so I went through all the tapes and stuff, found some old university and college tapes that my friends had made for me. You know, the mixtapes that people used to make for each other.
Yeah.
And then what else? I found this like big carrier bag of all these photos, and like there was all this stuff in there. It's like basically the carrier bag filing system. So everything was thrown in there. I was like, well, this has no order to it whatsoever. And so I got it out and we're going through all those pictures, and they're from family pictures from Kenya. So like my parents' time in Kenya, black and white pictures. And I just thought actually the time to go through all of this stuff is now, because I don't know who these people are.
No.
My mum knows who they are, so we need to go through them together. Yeah. Make a note of each person in the picture and what the situation was. You know, like to build a proper archive.
Definitely. And the fact that you've actually got physical photographs that have been printed. I mean, I've got thousands of pictures on my hard drive. I've got some printed. There's nothing like looking at some old pictures in a photo album. You know, like we used to look at photo albums when we were younger.
Yeah.
Get relatives round and we go, we'll get our photo album out, and you go
exactly.
through them. And we go through them. And it's nothing better than that. I love photographs. I think they're amazing. We see that freeze frame in time. You know, you've actually frozen time. And to see them people, them characters. And I always look at people in the pictures, even if I don't know them, and I think, oh, wonder what their lives were like. Wonder what they were into. Wonder what struggles they went through, and they seem happy here. And wonder what happened to them. You know, I love pictures. So, yeah, you'll have to archive them or show me at some point. Definitely.
I will do, yeah. So just getting them all in order, which is going to be a good thing to do, I think.
Yeah. So you've been definitely
I love doing
keeping
stuff
busy.
like that. I'm really interested in history. I've always been kind of interested in, I think more and more so over the past few years, I've started thinking about how do you take heritage and history but put it across in a way which is accessible.
Yeah.
And not just kind of gathering information, just to kind of sit in a book somewhere that, you know, in a book, what I mean by, like, you know, someone's research records at a university and nothing's ever done with it. So I think it's important for me to, I'm always curious about people's stories and history anyway, but particularly those ones that are invisible.
Yeah, and you're very good. You're very good at it as well. I mean, Jambo Cinema, that's what kind of what you did, right? You got your own stories and you made it in such a way that it was accessible to everyone. There's nothing you had to read. You didn't have to go read there, like see a picture and read like the profile of this person. You didn't really have to make an effort. You walked in and it happened to you just by magic, really. You kind of, don't you think? Well, for me anyway, because obviously
it's an experience of an invitation.
Yeah. Can you tell I loved it? I did love it. I'm not lying. And because it's a bit like, obviously you created it, you built it from scratch. You obviously had an empty space when you started. But for someone like me who didn't see all the hard work going into it, I saw it as a finished product. So for me, it was like...
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, these ideas, because what happened was I had the idea about 2014 and 15. I thought I really need to do something with this material that I've got and this story. And then kind of sat on it for a while because I was in a full-time job and I was producing. So the South Bank used to have a festival called Alchemy. And then it came to the West Midlands, and then we were the organisation I was working for was a partner with the South Bank. So I was doing that at the time. And then I was like, actually, I want to start telling my own story and I want to do it in a really authentic way. And so the first time I did it, I had like literally £200 and I just begged, borrowed, and just asked my friends to get involved. And I was like, look, I'm doing this thing. It's going to be an experience. It's going to be a pop-up thing for a festival. I need some help. And then I went to this local charity. I asked if I could borrow all their furniture. So I just made it all come together. by just making it happen and with literally very little resource. And then, you know, people were in there. It was one of the most popular events of that festival. It was only in there for a weekend because it was like a pop-up thing. And I thought, actually, there's something more here, and I'm going to try and develop it a bit more. And then it grew and grew, and it's still got potential to grow further. So I think the important thing for me at that point was just to get on with it. Because sometimes we've got ideas and we just we sit on there and we think, oh, I don't know if this is good enough and that's not good enough and blah, blah, blah. And we get imposter syndrome or, you know, we feel like we need a lot of money to do stuff. But I think sometimes you just got to do it. Yeah. You just got to start something and see where it goes. And, you know, if it's a good idea and you promote it in the right way, and I think that's really important to get your promotion right. People will want to know about it, and I think if it's authentic as well. Yeah,
you could tell it was authentic, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I would say a good 80% of people would probably have loads of ideas, but it's only that 20%, 10% that would take that action to go out and do it, because it's a lot of hard work. It's not easy, right? So, and there is that imposter syndrome. But for you, how could you be an imposter? I've never seen anything like that. You was like the first thing I've ever seen like that. So were you just worried that people might not get it?
I think when it's a personal story, sometimes you think, am I going to be the only, is it me that just cares about this?
No.
And that's it. Yeah. And then when I put it out there, people were like, oh, this is amazing. I love it. And I started collecting I got these little postcards, and I started collecting like loads of people's memories about
the experiences of it.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like someone said, I walked into this room and I got goosebumps, and I knew that I'd been here before. I would have loved to have been able to bring my mom today, but she isn't in the country at present. I really felt at home, and I felt transported into our living room from the 1970s and 80s.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I think that's what happened to me. I think when I came in there, it felt like I'd been here before.
Yeah.
But I hadn't.
There's a familiarity. Yeah,
that's what it was.
Familiarity. Yeah.
You even had clothes on the, you know, the stair. Was it the stairs bit?
Yeah,
on the banister, sort of hanging off the banister.
Yeah,
it was just stuff like that. I just remember that now, and it felt like I'd been here before. That massive sense of deja vu. So yeah, it's fantastic. You got to build a house, a street. Let's make a fucking town.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. Yeah, let's make There's definitely space to grow with this project. Yeah, you can carry on.
Can you imagine having a street? So when you're walking in the street, you see like someone dressed as a milkman, like the old days, who'd come around with the milk, sort of an uncle dressed as a postman. Sort of, I don't know. You're the artist. I don't know. Just talking shit.
Well, all ideas are good. Yeah, you just got to make them work, I suppose. Yeah. But I think, well, not all ideas are good. All ideas are worth exploring.
Yeah.
All ideas are worth exploring, and then you end up looking at which one.
Yeah. I mean, I've got hundreds of ideas that I tried and they were rubbish. But I think
that's the important thing. You've just got to try, because you get analysis paralysis. I've got friends who, like, I'm guilty of it myself, when you're just doing all this research and stuff, and you're sitting down, you think, okay, now I've learned this, and now I need to do this, and now I need to do this. And I think the best thing to do is throw yourself into it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, with my last show, British Asian podcast, I spent months with the name, just the name, nothing else. Months, that's all I did. But I thought I was doing something. I thought I was working, and I was going through all these names. I was putting words together. So this time I started, and I called it the SMT, because it's just my initials and the T's for talks. So it's Satman Talks, because I couldn't be bothered doing another 3 months of finding the name. So I'm just going to call it that.
I think in one way it's really good, because it says what it is immediately. I mean, the other one did as well.
Yeah.
But it says it is what it is on the tin.
That's all it is. And then we can talk about anything, and it's not just about
people's
journeys. Obviously, there's a bit of that, obviously, in the conversations.
And was that specifically what the last one was? Was your? I'm sorry, I didn't listen to many of them.
What? You didn't? But I would have definitely cut that bit out. No, I mean, yeah, it was kind of like a story of the person that I interviewed from like their childhood and how they got to where they are and what they're going to do in the future, which was cool. And I really did enjoy it, but I couldn't sometimes break off like me and you have today to talk about race relations in 2020, social media, AI, we couldn't really go off tangent so much. And I wanted a show where I could talk to people I liked, and I liked what they did, and talk to them about that, obviously, but also other things as well, just to see their sort of perspective on things and see if we can sort out any problems in the world together.
Well, yeah, that's it. There's a lot of problems there to be solved.
So how do you look? You know what? We were going on for an hour already. What do you think the future is going to hold for us, not just as British Asians, as humans? I mean, in 2020, we've got race riots going on, quite literally, right? Yesterday was a march with the far right. We're seeing Heil Hitler signs, while they're protecting the statue of Churchill, which was also boarded up. So they didn't really need to protect him, So it can get depressing. Listen, is there any positivity, Dawinder, you could give us before we end this show, please?
I think the best thing that we can ever do is to make a difference to the people that are in our lives. And also not to get to, just to be aware that in the media, who's controlling the media and what the narrative is being kind of, I don't know, there's a lot of mental manipulation going on, and I think it's really important to try and look at all the information that's out there and make your own decision about what you think is happening. I think that's important. But I think generally, keep on being a good person. Keep on being a good person to the people around you, the people that you encounter. Spread positive messages. Try and be as positive as you possibly can. Drink tea.
You love tea, don't you?
I do love a good cup of tea.
People that are listening, I was waiting around for a cup of tea. So I started this interview, and she goes off. She goes, "I'm back in a minute. I'm going to get a cup of tea."
I didn't realise you were recording already.
It's all right. I can wait around for a cup of tea. But no, you're right, especially about the media aspect of it. Because do you remember when we were a bit younger, we was a bit naive, weren't we? We used to believe everything on the news. So we listened to the news and thought, yeah, that's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. But nowadays, we're not sure, are we? We can watch one channel and they will tell us the news. We can watch another channel and they could tell us the same news, but a completely different perspective of it. So then you're thinking, is that right? Is he good or is that wrong? And plus, we've got social media onslaught going on about all these communication coming to us through our phones, and we're thinking, I don't really know what's going on. And there can be a bit of apathy with it, where people think, you know what, I'll give up. I don't give a shit. And that's a problem, right? When there is real issues, when people don't believe anything they hear anymore. And then there could be something true, such as, the global pandemic. And when they tell you it's not 5G and that the world is round and not flat, but there's people out there that won't believe it no more.
Yeah, I looked into this flat earth theory. I was like, this does not make any sense to me. But there are people who really believe it.
Believe it. Absolutely. Yeah. I saw a documentary about flat earth. I've always wanted to talk about flat earth on my show. And
go on then. Let's go.
So they wanted to check to see if the world was flat or curved. But the only way to purely test it was with a laser, a very expensive laser, and it cost thousands. I mean, I don't know how much, was it 60, 80,000 pounds, this laser. So this group of people all chipped in like a crowdfunding to buy this laser. They're gonna solve it for once and for all that the world is flat. Anyway, they used the laser, and the laser's got like a little compass in it. And if it was in the center or something, it means it's flat. But if it moves to the top, obviously it's curved because the horizon and the and it curved obviously because the world's fucking round, isn't it? And even then, the group was saying, well, the conditions weren't right, or we didn't have the laser on a flat surface. So they had already, even by seeing pure science and fact right in front of them, which they did themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's human behavior. That's human traits where they're so seeped into this belief that they will not accept anything else. And that's kind of like where we're at in the world.
Well, definitely. It's like people that say that the government is controlling the weather. And have you heard that one?
Yeah, of course. With chemtrails.
Yeah, the government
I love this shit. I
was like, how is the government controlling the weather? And it was like, no. I was talking to my friends like, no, you don't know. We're stuck in this. This is the Truman Show. This is really real. Have you noticed how people don't put the film on anymore because this is actually happening to us? And
if they are controlling the weather, they're doing a bloody good job today because it's lovely outside.
Is it?
Well done, government. I know they're listening.
It's grey where I am.
That's Wolverhampton, though, isn't it?
But I wanted to ask you something actually about because you've got back into training, haven't you?
I have, yeah, for about 18 months now. Yeah.
And how's all that going?
Very good. It's been the best thing I've ever done in my life. I think this is probably the fittest I've ever been in my life. I think when I was a bit younger, I was a slightly chubby kid, not majorly chubby, but a little bit chubby, you know. And but this is the fittest I've ever been. It's only by doing a bit of research on diet, training, and having a gym at home obviously helps me. But yeah, so it's just continuous. It's like what you said earlier, that you have to kind of correlate it in your work, you know, like the artwork that you do. I'm sure that you had to do something every day towards it to have your final goal. You know, it wasn't something you could pick up every week or every 2 weeks. Oh, well, I'll see if I can find that ornament to go in the house, or I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. I'm sure you went out the same day or the next day, and it's continuous work, even if it started off small, thinking of a name, creating a website, sending an email out. It was something, and you built up to it. And that's the same with training. So I started off slowly, walking around my house, around the block. Then I started doing a bit of sprinting. I've never been a jogger, you see. I don't like running. So that wasn't my thing. And then I had a bike, an exercise bike. I didn't really like that, but I enjoyed the weights. So I found something I enjoyed, and then I dug into it. And the more you do it, you get to a point where you start enjoying it. You know.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like I've never really been into exercise.
Yeah.
But I do walk a lot. I was telling you this, wasn't I? I do walk a lot. And so I wish I could just get into some routine of exercise. I've never been able to I've never enjoyed it. That's the thing you just said about enjoying it.
Yeah.
I've never really enjoyed exercise.
Yeah. See, I tried a lot of things: bike riding, swimming, tennis, badminton, all these kind of sports. But I used to like football, but obviously since I moved up here, I couldn't really play. But you just got to find that thing. Walking is one of the most fantastic things, because you could put some music on, listen to some podcasts.
That's what I do, actually. Yeah.
Listen to my show, obviously.
No.
Fuck's sake, another bit I have to cut out.
Listen to podcasts, put them on, and
walk. And obviously you can lose weight by walking, 100%. And you can get fit, really fit, by walking, because you just got to put the miles in, basically. And it's diet. It's always diet. And walking's great.
I tell you what I used to enjoy that I thought I should get: rollerblades.
Yeah, well, fine.
I was really good at roller skates years back. I've got a bike. I've been going out on my bike as well.
Yeah, so it's something. It's a start. But I think you're the same as a lot of people out there at the moment, because even me at home, because the food is always there. There's always food, and I'm always picking. I always get a little chocolate, maybe, or maybe pick out.
It's too easy. I'll stop buying it now. I'm like, no, if it's not in the house,
you won't have it. Yeah,
I won't have it at all.
See, obviously, I've got kids, and they've got like little Kinder chocolates and buttons, and penguin bars. Remember penguin bars? They've got them, and my daughter loves them. So you pick one up. You think, I'll have that. I'll have that. But what you're really doing is adding 300-400 calories a day extra to what you're eating, and you don't realize. And that's how people gain weight, really. But I'll carry on walking. And you were saying to me, not on this show, but about getting a kettlebell. Get one.
Yeah, the kettlebell thing. Because I thought to myself, I was like, actually, that's quite a quick way to get a fast, workout in the morning, and then you're done.
You're done.
And it's kind of an all over thing, isn't it, as well, with the kettlebell? So
yeah. It's a cardio and it's a toner as well. And I would always suggest, if you're struggling to do training or getting the motivation for it, do it in the morning, 100%. Because if you don't, and you think, I'll do it this evening, I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, other things will get in the way. Either you're in the middle of a box set and you think, I'll just watch one more, or someone calls, or you find some other work to do, or anything. It's going to be any excuse but to do it. If you do it in the morning, it doesn't matter then. You can do anything you want without the rest of the day, but you've done it. Just get it out of the way. Even if it's 15 minutes, start off 15 minutes. Next day, do 20. Next day, do half an hour, and just build yourself up. Within a couple of weeks, you'll have a routine. I mean, you get up every morning and brush your teeth because it's a routine.
That's it. It's like, what is it? Is it 90 days or something, they say?
Yeah.
Stick at something for 90 days.
Yeah.
You can make it a habit. And it's about getting new habits.
Getting a new habit. And if you did it every day, there'll be a day, 2 weeks down the line, you think, oh, I've got this to do, but I need to go for my walk first.
Yeah.
Your mind, it'll be a mind shift. And you think, I need to do that. I need to clear that room, but I want to do my walk first because I haven't done it yet. And it will happen.
Routine. You know what? Routine is so underrated. It's so important to have routine, because I don't know what it's like for you growing up, but I never had a routine because it was like our routine, the children's routine, was around our parents. So we go around to our like cousins' houses or something, and we could be there till midnight, and it wouldn't be a case of, like now, like, and my friends with their kids and stuff, like, it's like, get the kids to bed at 7. For us, it was like, you go to bed and I'm going to go to bed. It was like, there's no routine. And so you kind of, when you've not been brought up around a routine, you have to figure out what your own routine is, and sometimes it's difficult to do that. I
can imagine, because obviously your family had a shop as well, and you were opening up till late. So it's not all your fault, Dawinder, don't worry.
Well, I don't know. I'm an adult now, so I should really take responsibility.
You're a big girl now. You're a big girl now.
It's a case of letting these things be a part of your everyday being, like the routine, getting up at the same time, making sure you do something good with your body.
Yeah, 100%.
Condition it some kind of way. Get ready to get old in a way, because like my mom, I said to her about exercising. She was like, I've done my exercise. I raised all you kids. Don't tell me about exercise. I was like, but you need to do something for flexibility. Keeping flexible is really important. You go to the temple and stuff, and you see all these old people, and they're really, really in a bad way because they've just done nothing to keep their body conditioned. Especially
their knees. It's always their legs. God day. Yeah. It was the God day, right?
Yeah.
If you go to like Langar Hall in the Gurdwara, and you see a group of older women sitting together, I can guarantee you they're probably talking about God day or the medication that they're on, right? Because my mum's the same, because I say to her, she's got mobility issues on her knee. And I said, well, go in the garden, maybe walk around a few laps. And she goes, well, I've just put the clothes out now, and that's my exercise done for the day. And that's different. She goes, no, but it's the same thing. But they don't listen. They don't listen. They don't want to know. And she said the same line to me. She goes, well, I brought you and your sister up. I've done enough exercise in my life now. And
see, that's the thing. It's like not having that, not knowing what kind of exercises to do. But yoga is the best.
Yeah.
Yoga is so good.
There's a lady in Gravesend who started yoga for the elderly, for the elderly women, and it was in a sports hall, and she was really good. She was. A lot of them couldn't even sit on the floor, because if they sat on the floor, they won't be able to get back up. Right? So,
But this, like, because of all the work
funny.
I've done.
It's not funny. I'm cutting this bit out.
Yeah, you better cut this bit out.
Yeah.
But all the work I've done about going into Asian elders groups and, going into communities and seeing, what's going on with these people. They're just so unfit and so unhealthy. And you just think, part of you is like, wow, I need to pull this back now so that I don't end up getting unhealthy and unfit when I get to their age.
Yeah,
some of it you can't help, but some of it you definitely can.
Definitely, but the fact is, you're thinking about it is a big step, because a lot of people are thinking, "Oh yeah, well, I'm all right yet," because everyone's waiting until they're not all right to start doing something, which is by then the wrong time to do.
But that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, start preparing
100%
for something now. That's what you should be doing. Like, when you're saving money and you're doing this and doing that, you should start definitely making an effort towards health.
I mean, for me, when I think, I used to smoke, I used to drink, I used to do some other things, and as you know, right? And I just thought, I'm gonna die, at an early age. I will, and my kids, I was thinking, they're getting older and they think I'm great, and I thought, I need to sort myself out. I can't live like I'm 21 years old or something now, and I started really looking into my health. And now it's become the norm, because I just sort of, I get up early in the mornings. I do my workout before everyone else is awake in the house. And then I just got it out of the way. And then I still eat other pizzas and stuff like that here and there, but it's not every day. And
what's your thing on veganism and weight training?
I think, as in strength wise, is it worth, can you do it if you're a vegan, basically?
Yeah,
I think you can. Yeah. I think you can. I think there's enough protein within vegan food, without a doubt, in grains, and a lot of dal that we have is vegan friendly, and it's got full of protein, shodle, things like that. Strength training, I think for the average person, it's fine, because we're not looking to break any personal records or massive high numbers. I actually had a personal trainer on a couple of weeks back now, and he's a vegan, and he's a vegan, and he lifts way more than me. Right, he's super strong, and I'm a meat eater, and I'm nowhere near as strong as him. So I would say, just purely on looking at us two, you can be absolutely fine. I think the problem comes, and I'm not a nutritionist or anything, but when you're on the high level athlete, you're going to need a high amount of protein, super high amount, and to have it in vegan food, which is quite carb heavy, is going to be difficult. So I think that's why sort of a lot of vegans will take a lot of supplements, a lot of protein shakes.
Well, my sister turned vegan at the beginning of the year, and her skin looks amazing, and she's never felt healthier.
Yeah.
She cut out the dairy, and as soon as she cut out dairy, like, her skin just changed.
Yeah. I definitely think there's benefits in it. There was a point where I wanted to
start. She lost weight as well. And she lost weight.
She probably did.
Because she was like, because you don't realise how much dairy is in lots and lots of different products. And she was like, when you start paying attention to it, you'll realise that there's dairy and everything.
I think it's definitely benefits. Sugar. Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Well. Yeah.
The only thing, I think there's a lack of B12 in vegan food, which you probably have to supplement, but most people could probably do with a bit more B12 anyway. Even meat eaters that probably eating shit chicken from the fried chicken shop.
Did you hear about this vitamin D3? Vitamin D3, is it? Vitamin D for people for ethnic minorities to basically completely up their take in vitamin D.
Yeah, to boost their immune. Coronavirus, yeah. It appears it runs in Asian communities and BAME communities, really. For some reason, we seem to have a lower amount, whatever it's genetics or hereditary, we don't know. It could be, where ancestors were brought up in India. I don't know, but...
Well, apparently, like the sun takes... That's where we get the vitamin D from. And if you've got darker skin, it takes longer to penetrate the skin.
Right, yeah.
It's like, if you're not even in the sunshine anyway, and, well, you know, how much sunshine do we really get? And I think the colour of our skin, we're you know, genetically, we're not supposed to be in this country. We're supposed to be.
That's what I mean. Yeah, so it's probably from our roots. And my wife takes it every day without fail. She takes it. She's always going banging on about it to me. So yeah, I would definitely I would take it. I take it. I have a multivitamin. It's quite a high dosage, and I take them every day, because when you're weight training, definitely heavy weights, it takes a lot out of your system, and it does affect your immune system slightly, because your body's trying to recover from the pounding that you've given your muscles. So I need to take a multivitamin. I take because I can't get it all in food. You should really. I mean, but I've got to be honest. How much fresh vegetables do I boil and steam every day? I don't. You know, I'm probably just an average person, right?
Well, that's another thing to talk about, isn't it? Are vegetables really vegetables? Have you heard about these?
No.
So okay, it's going to sound like I'm just totally into conspiracy theories, but I'm not. But it's a thing of so food. What is food? Food is supposed to be something that we take in to give us nourishment. And with vegetables, the way that they're grown and mass produced, and the soil that they're grown in, it means that they're literally stripped of any kind of nutrients that we really need. So 30, 40, 50 years ago, the way that food was grown and the soil it was grown in meant that we had a lot of trace minerals that would just come into our body because of the food we were taking, because of how it was grown and the soil. But now, because of it being mass produced and being pumped full of like pesticides and everything else, it means that whilst we're eating vegetables and stuff, it really doesn't have any nutritional benefit unless it's organic.
Right. You could be right, definitely. I mean, even for vegans, they've got to understand all their foods is mass produced as well. Unless you've got your own little allotment outside in your garden, a lot of the stuff from the supermarket is mass produced, and there's a ton of, you know, water used as well, pesticides. I'm sure there's a lot of little rodents and animals are killed as well while they're growing. So, I mean, how, you know, animal friendly can we get without, you know, we just survive on dal and roti? I don't know, but it's difficult but you're right. Does it have the same nutritional value as, say, food grown in an organic farm, you know, where there's no pesticides and it's purely natural, and you get them carrots that are all bent?
It does taste different.
It
does, because I get a vegetable box and it does taste
better.
It does taste better. It tastes, tomatoes taste so much better. Everything's got its own distinct taste.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at bananas in supermarkets, they're almost perfect, ain't they?
Yeah.
They're never you know, they're just how you think a banana should look like, you know, a cartoon, you know, it's perfect. An orange is perfect. And even my kids, even if they see like a pear that's a bit bent, or a strawberry that's, you know, sort of missing a bit, they're like, we're not having that. It doesn't look like a strawberry. Okay, but we still eat it. You know, but they won't have it. So we've become so choosy about our food. That's why there's a lot of food wastage, you know. And, you know, we used to have them carrots. I remember my dad used to grow stuff in the garden. It's the farmer in him, you see. He couldn't. So he used to grow like beans, runner beans, and things like that. We used to have them, and but my kids, if I showed them grown in the garden, say this is where it comes from, I don't know if they will eat it. They're thinking, we're not having that. It's coming out of the ground. I go, where do you think it comes from? You know, and meat. I'm trying to explain to them like chicken. That's the real chicken that you're eating. That was a real thing running around, and I could see the little heads working it out. You know. I go, what? Where do we kill it and then eat it? I went, yeah, that's what we do. I think they should know.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So we're distanced away from the food. So when we pick up meat, you know, it's in a little packet. It's all been, you know, sealed, and it just says chicken breasts, you know, and it's only £4. It's so cheap as well. And you think, oh my God, how are they making any money out of this? You forget it's an animal, right?
I know. Yeah.
The only time I quick story, otherwise this podcast is going to be 2 hours long. Quick story. When I was in India, because I was a guest, the first time I went back to India, I was born in India. So I came over, and then I had to go back when my dad passed away to do the ashes, right?
Okay.
So that's the first time I ever went back, and I was 21, and my cousin said, "Oh, you know, we'll get some meat. We'll have some meat tonight." And I went, "All right," because we were just having vegetarian food. So we jumped on his scooter, we rid off into the town and went to a little farm, and it was like it was chickens everywhere. And he goes, "Choose one." They were live, obviously, you know. And I go, "You choose it." You know, I've never really chosen a chicken before. And he chose one, put it in a box, and we took it back home. So he was going to kill it. He was going to kill it, my cousin. So he put it on a block and he chopped his head off. And I was like, "Oh my," you know, I was like, you know, I had to walk away. And I had a fag. I used to smoke it. We were in the corner smoking, right? I was so strict. But he was trying to be nice, my cousin, you know, because I was a guest. So meat for them was expensive. And obviously they didn't have that much money. So, and they gave me the kidneys, you know, because that was the most expensive part, you know, the liver and the kidneys, right? So he thought I might like it, right? I only wanted the chicken leg. I would have been happy with that. But I couldn't eat it. And I tell you, I drank so much whiskey. I was drinking whiskey. I was having a bite of it. I was drinking whiskey. That's the only way I got it down, because I didn't want to be rude. Yeah. Right. And, but that's the closest I've ever got to seeing the animal being killed, and I've eaten it. And I didn't like it. So I think if I went to an abattoir and I saw it happening, and then they said, "Well, here's your packet of chicken breasts," I'd be like, "No, dal and roti for me." So there's a message for everyone listening. I don't know where I was going with that. And we've spoken about some of your past projects, but what are you planning now? What's the next thing I can come and see and get excited about?
Well, I think because, you know, venues and everything are closed at the moment. So I've got a project that's going to be launched soon, which is going to be an online thing. I'm not going to say what it is just yet because I'm just waiting for it to be greenlit. But the other project, the Asian Women and Cars project, we're taking that online as well. So carrying that on, which is, if for anybody who doesn't know what that project was, it was about capturing the stories of first generation Asian women. So like our mum's generations and grandmother's generations who learnt to drive in the UK. And, you know, this project, I mean, the way that it got picked up in the media was so, I didn't think it would get picked up. And I think that's why I'm always really interested in exploring those stories about Asian women. And you know, like I said to you, the invisible story.
Yeah. I think that's a great story, because I remember a lady used to drive a van. She wasn't driving a car, she used to drive a van, and she'd take the other women to the factory.
Was it a sewing factory or something?
It was a sewing factory. Yeah, it was. And an ironing and sewing factory. And she used to drive a van. And I was always in awe of her. This lady was driving a van. I was a kid then. But, you know, and I think the other women were a bit like, "Oh, you know, she can drive the van." It was a kind of a thing, wasn't it? You know, not many women could do it or did it. They could do it.
No, not many women. Not many women. Like, there's some people that I interviewed, they weren't allowed to drive. Their husbands didn't let them.
Yeah.
You know, or sometimes it wasn't their husbands, it was other women in the family who were like, "Who does she think she is? She can't drive. I can't drive, so she can't drive."
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I think it is really inspiring when you see people doing something. I remember when I was about maybe 8 or 9, and my oldest brother had got married, and he's 20 years older than me. And his wife, my Bobby, she turned up in a VW Scirocco, light blue. It looked like the Back to the Future car. And I remember, like, me and my cousins, we were like, "Oh my God, she's driving the Back to the Future car." And it was really, I suppose when you think about it, it's a role model really about, you know, what you can do in life. And I think this is a project which is about, you know, it's called Asian Women and Cars, The Road to Independence. And it's about how you gain independence from being able to drive and what that can bring.
No, definitely. That's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. I did see some pictures. I love pictures anyway, you know that. And saw some amazing images of some amazing haircuts and styles, and amazing cars and clothes. And I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that.
But it was like the next thing to pose against, wasn't it? Like, you had, is it traditionally seen as a male thing, the car anyway. But then I was like, okay, who are the women? And then, you know, the next big purchase you buy is a car.
Yeah.
You get your house. Your house is sorted. Okay, as an immigrant family.
Yeah.
Buy your house and then
Get your car. Yeah.
Get your car. Then you post by your car, of course.
We never had a car until I started driving. And
so when was that then? Like 90 something?
Yeah, I'm not that old, love. Oh, bloody yeah, it was. It was around.
What's that? You're the same age as me. Of course you are.
And but I remember that. And just, I think for women though, it must have been, they've got now this thing that they can jump in. They've got some freedom, you know. And them stories must have been amazing. Especially, they must have had a lot of backlash and resistance to get in a car, you know. So it takes a certain strength of character, a certain type of woman to say, no, I'm going to learn. Because you can't just learn in one day. It must have taken weeks, you know, like you take lessons and you learn. It takes a while. So I'm really looking forward to that, to hearing their stories.
One of the women that I interviewed, she's a teacher, and she ended up taking secret lessons because her husband was like, I don't really want you to drive. Although he seemed like a really progressive guy. But she just said she went once to pass. She failed, I think over 10 times she failed. But then the last time when she passed, she took a license home, put it onto the table and said, right, I've passed, now buy me a car. So
yeah, fantastic. I'll tell you a little secret, Dawinder, before we finish. A lot of Asian men may seem progressive online, but behind closed doors and with their family.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
Don't believe. I know you don't, but
I've actually seen it with my male friends who speak in a really progressive way with me, and then when I see them interact with their own families, I'm like,
yeah, they're virtue signalers, ain't they?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's all about posting. Oh, look at me, women's rights, and all this. You know, this is blokes, by the way. I don't that much, because I think let the women get on with it. They're all right. They, you know, they don't need the men here. They've got this under control, right? They're doing well. And so I don't do it because I'm not genuinely in it. I'm not bullshitting, you know. So if I believe in something, I'll say, yeah, that's great. But I'm not just going to do it for some likes and to virtue signal to everyone else how morally superior I am. It's all nonsense.
But you know what, though? Sometimes I feel like the Asian community are the most hypocritical and the least likely to look at themselves and question what their own beliefs are. And, you know, we were talking about Black Lives Matters earlier on. Like, the amount of people who I know will be like supporting this, but then at the same time say, oh, I don't want someone black in my family, though. I don't want someone marrying a black person to come into my family. So, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like
we can't get over the caste business. So we've got a religion where the founder specifically started it to break the caste system.
Yeah.
That was one of the main reasons, right? And we've completely brushed that aside when it matters. So when our family member wants to marry someone outside the caste system, oh, no. And you, as a kid, I used to say, well, what about Guru Nanak? He's, you know, remember that guy? He said that everyone's saying, no. Yeah, but, you know, it's all right with other people, but not, you know, us. You know, so we got to sort our own house out in order, I think, first.
I think so. Yeah.
Before we start doing hashtags, Black Lives Matter, we support them, which we do, obviously. Of course we do. We have to. You'd be stupid not to, because, you know, being Asian and immigrants ourselves, we'll be like that stupid taxi driver. But we have to also realize that we got to look at our own house as well, our own prejudices, which I've got some. I'm sure other people do, but you have to be honest and try and work hard. And that's the part about learning.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do, to look at yourself in the face, in the mirror, and think, what is it about? What have I got that is not very nice? Yeah. What prejudices do I hold that I'm not being honest with myself about? And I think that's the thing. Yeah. It's like, don't delude yourself, because like you say, there's plenty of people that go online, men who come out with, oh, I support women's rights and I support this and I support that. And they don't. No, they just want to get laid. But it's really easy to gaslight when you've got a bit of a following and there's people who kind of listen to you and stuff, and you can put out there this pretend persona of who you are, and that's very dangerous. 100%. I'm telling you, right?
I don't know all men, because I can't speak for all men. I'm sure there's some very nice ones out there. And,
there are, yes.
But it's about being honest. You know, it's so easy to put a post up, you know, black square or some supporting something, but that's not proper support. I don't think. Just putting a post up. All right, yeah, great. You might, some people might see it, but actual pure action and within your own actions, and I think probably makes a lot more difference. But Dawinder, look, we're coming towards the end now of the interview. And before you go, I want people to know where they can catch up with your work, because I know your projects are fantastic and I know they're going to be fantastic in the future as well. So where's the best place they can catch up with news and updates from you?
They can catch me on my website, which is dawinderbansal.com, and also on social media under the same name, and it's all the same name on all of every single social media account that I've got. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
That's fantastic. And I'll put the links anyway for everyone to so they can click on and follow your work. But I would highly recommend anyone listening, please do check out her work. Check out the video that's on the website, and some of the press that you've got. I saw you sitting on the couch in the BBC in the morning breakfast show.
Yeah, BBC Breakfast Live.
That was awesome. It's so odd because I know you obviously, and when I saw you on there, I was like, wow! I got kind of excited because I know you, don't I? It's not like, you know.
It's nice to have that support from people. Yeah.
I'm not that kind of person thinking, I wish I could do that. I want to do that. I'm sure people are like that out there. But for me, I can't do what you do. I can't make them installations, much as I'd like to think I could, but I can't. So, but you can. So you deserve to go on there. And about the cars, it was about the cars, wasn't it? And the women driving.
Yeah.
So I didn't think of that. You did, you know, and that's why you're unique. And you've got your ideas, and mine different, and I've got other ideas. And obviously, people think your ideas are a lot better than mine.
No, but you're putting it out there. You're getting people online, and you're talking about important stuff, and you know everything. I think every artistic endeavor is important. And
I'm just kidding. But you deserve. I was so happy to see you on there, and you look very comfortable on the couch. You should definitely go back on again if anyone from the BBC is listening. You've got new projects coming up. But yeah, I was really happy. I remember seeing that. I said to my wife, I go, I know her. She's and she goes, that sounds good. See, she got interested in what you was doing and about the cars and driving. She goes, you never really think of that, do you? And even she didn't, even as a woman, being Asian, she didn't.
Yeah, do you know what? I had people contacting me from all around the world after that went out.
The moment you said you was going to do that, the moment it made sense to me straight away. I thought, of course, because I remembering the stories about that lady driving the van, driving my mum to work, and how they used to sort of think, oh, look at her, you know. There's a little bit of envy with the women.
Yeah, envy. I would agree with that. Yeah,
there was a bit of that, and I remember my mum was a bit. I could see her talking to her friends. Oh, you know, who does she think she is? She's not our boss. To be things like that, right? And so I thought fantastic. That's going to be a great one as well. And I know some of the future work you're going to do is going to be fantastic as well. Dawinder, look, we have to call it a day.
Yeah.
Because we'll be rolling on to 2 hours, and which I don't mind. But it's been great catching up with you. I mean, we haven't spoken for a while either, so it's been fun.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on, and I guess we'll catch up soon. Yeah,
we'll do it again once we're out of this madness, this global pandemic. We'll do another one for some of your new projects, and if you do another Jambo Cinema, we could do it in there. We could sit down and have a chat.
You know what? That would be amazing. Actually, I'd love to do that. Yeah,
let's do it.
We're trying to get it to carry on.
Yeah, and then we can sit on the couch. Definitely. We'll sit on the couch, and I'll bring my microphones and we'll record it. We could film it maybe as well.
Yeah,
I'll get one of my mates to film it. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. Okay.
All right. Look, have a great day. Don't forget to go for your walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want some updates, and I'll send you some links for some kettlebells.
Yeah, please do.
Kind of guy I am. I always support women's issues.
Get me the kettlebells.
Dawinder, thank you very much. All right.
Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.